Coaches, welcome to Monday Mastermind. I'm Coach Will Robbins, the founder of RGX, and I'm so excited you're here with me today to go ahead and join us on this journey about helping you to understand the three biggest mistakes that golf instructors make when they start to group coach. Okay, so today what I want to make sure that you've got is a pen or a piece of paper, your iPad, your iPhone. What are you going to take notes on? Because the key thing here is I want to make sure that you get massive value for your students, for your facility, and most importantly, I believe for your business. So you can make the money you deserve in the time that you want to work and follow your passion. So today we're going to dive into this concept of the effectiveness and efficiency of group coaching, right? We all know that if you teach in groups, you make more money. And that's great. But then what we think is that if we teach in groups is less advantageous for our students, right? Because they're going to get less time with us. So what I want to do today is show you and disprove that and really outline these three big major areas, these problems that coaches, what I would say instructors have when they get into group coaching. So the first thing is it always comes down to mindset with me, right? Every time you've heard me, if you've spoken on Monday, if you've heard Mastermind Mondays before, if you've seen my video, my content, it's always this idea of you've got to get your mindset right first. And so what I see is that an instructor who's used to teaching one-on-one on the driving range, working mostly on golf swing, will in their own minds see that it's almost like shameful to teach in a group because you're taking away from that student, right? Is that they're not going to get all this the attention. Your intention will actually be, to get them as much as you can, but are you really going to get them the result that they desire? And so they're going to get a worse product by being in a group. So the first error that people make is believing that, because to me, there couldn't be anything different than actually coaching in a group. And here's why. So what I've got to give you is practical tools that you can take. So take the words I use, take the little references I make and share them with your players and see how quickly they shift their thinking because you shift your thinking. So my first thing is this. Let's look at the game of golf, okay? Most people play the game of golf in a foursome. They play with their friends, right? They play with their friends on a golf course. And what most of them struggle with is this idea that when they get on the golf course, they can't do what they did on the range. And they definitely can't do what they did in the lesson with you. It's also the frustration of most teachers is that we're there, we have a great lesson, they go to the golf course that weekend, they play terrible, they come back, say, what happened? So to me, when you look at a group coaching session, my biggest thing would be is that it is a better area to learn. It's a better environment to learn having people in a group. Why? Because you're going to be able to do two key things. Number one is you're going to be able to create competition. You're going to be able to raise that anxiety up, right? Because they're going to feel tension. I don't know this person. I'm chipping in front of them. I hope I don't duff it. I hope my shank doesn't come out. You're going to simulate that same pressure that they have on the golf course on a Saturday morning in front of other people so that you can actually see their game breakdown. So instead of standing there and having them hit 20 chips and be like, oh, it's not too bad today, it's like you've got to get them to breaking point. You want that pressure to come up, right? So with this, in that environment, you get that camaraderie, that banter going back and forward, that competition going, which will allow you to see the real error that they're making. How does that shank come out? How do they descend and, just basically decel into it and not hit the golf ball? So when you're in that position, it allows you to really take it to another level because you start to see their real game. And then you can start to teach them under pressure. You can start to say to them like, well, what did you do there? You seem like you slowed down. You have like 10 practice chips, or you sped up and had no rehearsal. Everybody's different. But you can use that team environment to help them to understand that, A, they're all feeling pressure, right? They're all feeling anxiety. They're all feeling nerves. And how do you handle it versus how does she handle it versus how do you handle it? Because the idea here is that they've got to embrace that tension tends to be the problem in golf, right? And when we watch somebody like, let's say, Rory McIlroy, missed the cut at the Masters just a few weeks ago. He's playing almost number one in the world, and he misses the cut. I think he actually was number one in the world at that time before John won it, right? Well, how did that happen? How did he possibly go ahead and lose his technique? He didn't. The tension, his expectations were too high. So even the best players in the world with the best technique, they're still going to run into problems when they are focused on increasing tension when they play. We want to teach people how to decrease tension when they play, but increase it when they train. And this is why I would say when people say, oh, I'm going to go out and practice, I'm like, no. Any real sport, you go out and train. Let's train. That means you're going to train hard so that you can play more effectively. So as we start to look at this, you're in a group, you're getting better experience because they're in a group, so you can create tension. A second thing why I think this is so important and why we've got to change our mindset is, plain and simple, is that most instructors overteach. Why? Because the model demands it. You've got 1 hour with one person in front of you. Do you know how long an hour is? I mean, the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, The Why, right? Millions and millions of views. It's 17 minutes long. He could get across a point that's transformed the lives of millions of people in 17 minutes. We have to work with somebody on their chipping for an hour? I mean, that's crazy, right? So to me, it stops you from overteaching because more is not better. Less is better when it comes to instruction, because I want that person to be able to leave there and do it on their own. If I've given them feedback on every single shot, if I've told them what they're doing on every single shot, if I've given them these things to work on, is it really going to transition from sort of that logical thinking, that left brain, into that reactive, natural, just look and react? No. Whereas when I've got 4 or 6 or 8 people in a group and I can set them up on stations with drills that they can work through and I can observe and ask questions using the Socratic method, which is obviously asking a lot of questions, they start to unpack what they're doing. They start to get better results without you. Now, this is really important to me, because when it's without you, think about this. Oh, you're working your way out of a job. No, you're not. You're not with them on the 14th hole, are you? You're not with them on the 16th hole. They need to be able to do it on their own. The way you're going to get referrals is them winning the tournament, them breaking 90, them breaking 80, them getting a college scholarship, them making their high school team, whatever it is, right? It's going to be based off of their score. So what we've got to do is get them to be independent of us. Now, we're always going to be able to have them come back because they're now going to break 80 and go, well, now I want to shoot. I want to be a +1. I want to be a scratch. I want to be whatever it is. We always want to strive to another level, and they're going to need your help on that next part of the journey. So we've got to start to think of it that the mindset behind a great coach is, I want you to be able to do this when I'm not there. I don't want you to be thinking, if you were only on the 16th hole with me yesterday, I'd have played better. No, that's not a responsible coach. You've got to be able to do it under pressure with me on the sidelines. Okay, and so this is why I think the first thing I want to talk about today is you've got to shift your mindset. You've got to stop thinking that the private model is better and group instruction is ineffective because there's more people there and they're not going to get as much time. So hopefully you believe in that. Hopefully I've given you some ideas to understand that first mistake that people make. So with that mistake said, what I would say here is the next key thing to realize is that when you have that mindset, you then become an instructor in a group environment, which to me is called a clinic. Where, in the 1980s and 1990s, this was a big thing, is you'd run up and down the line and, what do we got to work on next? And you're working on putting and you had 7 minutes and you had 7 minutes and you had 7 minutes and you had, you've only had 4 minutes, I better run over there. That's not how it works. In coaching, you're basing yourself off performance. Which means if this person's just chipping it really fantastically and doing great, get them off that drill and go and have them test. Get 2 of them to test against each other and go, right, can you get 8 out of 10 in that circle? While this other person here who's scooping it, who actually needs help on technique, go over there, work with them a little bit, but then leave them alone for a bit. Let them go ahead and digest that information. Let them go ahead and hit. Let them go ahead and get a feel. Let them make some mistakes. Ask some questions. Now you might say, but they've paid the $100. I need them. They need all my information. Look, you go ahead and take something up new. Okay, so you decide to go skiing, or you decide to pick up tennis, or you decide to start to play the piano, or whatever it may be, but think of something you've done lately, even cooking. And then someone says, add the ginger, and now put this on here, and then don't overcook this, and then don't put too much milk in. You're like, yay, just let me figure this out. I've got it in front of me. Okay, I'm going to do it. You see, your students are just too polite to say that to you. Like, you're overwhelming me. And sometimes they say it and we get offended. But what we should do is say, thank you for being so honest. I'm moving too quickly. I'm giving you too much. Because if it's an information thing, well then why isn't everybody on YouTube? Why isn't everybody in Golf Digest doing that? Why are they standing in front of you? There's a difference between information and implementation, right? Paul Williamson, one of our mentors, always talks about this. Implementation is getting it done. It's actually having someone show you how to put it into play so you get the result. Information's free. Information's everywhere. It's a dime a dozen. It's not worth anything because it's only when you apply what you know that you actually get true knowledge and success. So I'm going to challenge you to think about the idea that as we shift our mindset, we shift the way we act, which was we allow ourselves to sort of stand there and just take a look and see what's happening and observe and watch some people hitting some bad shots and getting frustrated and watch some people having some good competition and not rushing around to fix people. This mentality of having to fix people. We're not doctors. They're not injured. They're learning something. And what we need is that ability to create a space, an environment where they can hit some bad shots, see if they improve, go over there and ask them, hey, so what's going on? Oh, I'm terrible. I'm sucking at it. Okay, well, if I wasn't here, what would you do? I'd just go home. Oh, okay, if you want to go home, that's not the best solution. What do we have to do to go ahead and hit a good chip shot? I don't know. Well, if you did know. Oh, well, I've got to strike down on it. Okay, well, do you feel like you're striking down on it right now? I don't know. Well, let me put you on video. Do a quick video, show it to them. Well, no, I'm leaning back and doing this. You've got to help them to not be children, okay? My kids, when I coach my kids, they listen, they apply, they do. My adults sometimes just become babies. They're like, oh, it's just not working and I've paid my money, compared to you haven't paid money to get information. I'm your coach. I'm going to get you to be able to do this. And what I've got to show you how to do is get more competent and more confident. And what that means is take responsibility and accountability. Don't get in a huff. Don't get frustrated. Let's go through the process. Let's do this. You've got 3 other people over there having a competition. You've got a leaderboard set up, so they're putting their scores down. They're trying to beat their best score. You've got to focus on building an environment of improvement. A place where people can learn and practice and develop and train, not try and divide 60 minutes by 6 people so they all get 10 minutes. The beauty about this also is that you can always bring the group together and learn from people. Look at the frustration you were having and how you overcame that. Share with the group what you did. And they'll tell you, I just got overwhelmed, I got frustrated, but I can see why coach wants me to do it this way, because that's what I do when I'm on my own. When I'm practicing, I just don't practice because I get frustrated and I don't get better, so I don't bother practicing. Now I'm seeing a pathway forward. So you now use the group, right, to actually engage each other so they learn peer to peer. And we all know this, but we truthfully know this internally, is peer-to-peer is where you learn, okay? You can get taught by your teacher, but as you see somebody doing things, you're feeding off of your friends and you're starting to see what your peers are doing and somebody improving and they're doing this, and you start to learn from the group and that motivation, that inspiration. This is why CrossFit is so powerful, because you see people getting stronger we came in the same time 3 months ago and you're ripped. Well, I'm coming 4 days a week. How many times are you? Once a week. Sometimes I miss. Well, that's what you would look like if you had been doing what you committed to. So peer-to-peer is so valuable. So thinking that you have all the answers and it's your responsibility to get people better is not the way it actually works. So I want to challenge you to start to, first of all, change your mindset and then start to look at that environment, being an environment for developing and learning, okay? And when you do that, that really takes away this clinic mentality and really starts to get you results. And then, to me, the third part to this is this idea that, again, people say group coaching. I'm going to focus on group coaching. And really what I'm all about is performance-based coaching, which is, to me, did you leave today being able to apply what you want? Do you have a plan on how to build that out? Do you know the pathway to get there? Because this is the goal. We want to get you to that goal. This is the performance. And sometimes what people are doing, they're selling group instruction rather than, for me, what I coach and all the RGX coaches on this call will know is the idea is if we have an assessment and if we have a written plan and if we have a guaranteed result, well, then my goal, my brain is thinking along the way of how do I get you to that goal, right? Rather than how do I fill the time? So then it really strips everything down to what does this person need? So they're not coming to a group session and today is chipping, okay? Look, Get Golf Ready is phenomenal. It gets millions of people into the game. It's an amazing product that PGA of America's put together. And it covers putting and then chipping and then pitching and then driver and then irons. That's great. That's an introductory clinic to learning the game. What we want to do is say, look, we're a performance-based coach and our whole focus here is you're in a group because it's more effective. Remember how we started off with the mindset? It's more effective because we're going to teach you in competition. You're going to see me more at a lower price. We've assessed your game. We've built a plan. And when you come to a session, when you come out to group coaching, my focus is There's a short putting station, you two get on over there. There's the lag putting station, you guys are on that one. You two are on chipping, come on over here. Right, our goal today, here's the plan, here's what we're gonna lay out. We've got to go through this and then we've got to all go back there and work on wedges from 50 and 75. Like, you are a ruthless coach now because you're thinking, we got to win the game this weekend, right? I coach my daughter's lacrosse team, and so they're 10 years old, and we're looking at, I've never taught lacrosse before in my life. Like, I didn't even know you could go behind the goal. I didn't even know that you couldn't throw it underarm. I think you had to throw it overarm. I mean, I'm learning everything every week. But what I'm seeing is like, hey, how do we get strategies to become better at defending? How do we go ahead and get strategies to get better at offense? What do we need to do? And each week we're applying these new games because my brain is going, here's how we're going to win more games. Here's how we're going to score more goals. Here's how we're going to defend better. I need your brain to go into that mindset of like, okay, this player's here. How am I going to get him there? I'm not putting people into a group so I make more money. I'm putting people into a group because it gets them better faster, so I get better results, so it grows my brand, so I have more success, so more people come to me, so my prices can go up, so in the end I make more money. But to me, sometimes we get confused thinking the group is better for the pro rather than it's better for everybody. It's better because they make friends. It's better for the golf course because you're playing more golf on the course. It's better for the player because they have more time with you. It's better for you because you have less time at the course and more time with family. It's better for you because you get paid more money. So it's a win-win all round. So as you start to look at this, it's this thing of thinking that, again, don't get out there thinking of what the lesson plan should be, right? People, again, the mindset is wrong, right? And so we've got to shift that mindset. Then we've got to start to understand, like, how do we create the environment? And then you as a coach need to say, how do I develop a lesson plan and just lay it over people, right? If they all start at the same time and they're all brand new beginners, I suppose you could do that. But realistically, even then, one of them's really great at pitching, one of them's got a ton of power, one of them has no power, one of them's a terrible putter, one of them's deathly afraid of chipping. So even though they're all brand new beginners, every one of them's an individual in a team setting. So how are you going to set up those stations? How are you going to set up that training session to ensure the most for that player so that they leave feeling empowered? Not like they got a ton of information, that they feel empowered, that they understand what they're working towards, they understand why they're doing it, they understand how to do it, and they can definitely see that they got better today because they tested against 4 people and scored their best score ever. So they leave with confidence rather than a hope that what you taught me in this lesson today will integrate into my golf swing overnight, and tomorrow when I tee off on a Saturday it will show up. If I have a player make 10 in a row from 4 feet against 2 other people and they do it for the first time on a Friday afternoon, I know on a Saturday they're going to the golf course saying, I'm putting way better. Well, when's the last time you played? I haven't played in 2 weeks. But I competed last night against my teammates and my coach was there and I made 10 in a row for the first time. We've got to ingrain confidence. That's what training is all about, is to a point where you feel competent and confident when you go out on the golf course without your coach there, because that's the battlefield. You're going to be out there on your own, but we prepared you the right way. So as you go out there this week, what I want you to do is really start to just jot down, what are some of the things that maybe you've been doing a little bit differently? Like maybe your mindset is still stuck on, I've got to teach everybody for 7 minutes, or, I think it's not as good a product. I think a private lesson would be more effective. Okay, well, you might want to overcome a couple of those. Are you setting up great stations? Are you creating an environment of training? Do you understand each person's game, their goals, their commitment? Is it written down? Have you put that all together? Because if you have, you're creating a real environment for success. If not, it's something we're always developing. I'm always working on how I get better with coaching my coaches, who obviously RGX coaches, helping them, and my own students. Like, how can I develop? What games can I create? What can I do to make it more effective? How can I constantly and never-endingly improve what I'm offering? Because that's what they're doing with their golf game. That's what you've got to be doing with your business. So write one of these down. Ensure that you go ahead and actually implement it today. What do you do before you get off this call? What are you going to do right now to ensure that you actually put it into play? Okay? So if you do that, I can guarantee you're going to have amazing success, and it's going to build on top of itself. For those of you who are in RGX, this video will be posted inside with any worksheets that we'll put in there. You'll be able to download those, check them out. And for those of you who maybe haven't started a journey or are wondering more about what is results-based group coaching, what about having a business mentor, how do I get more time at home? How do I make more money? Those are the things that we do at RGX. We've been doing it for the past, I think now 12 years, just coming on 12 years now. We've been having great success with it. We're partnered with the PGA of America. We've just had such a great journey helping pros to transition to a results-based coaching model and really scale up their business. So if you're interested, let's hop on a call and let's make sure we check in next week, and we'll see you again next week at Mastermind Monday.